What's going on, you guys? So this is a 80cc Mega Moto or Monster Moto mini bike. It's just the mini bike you go to Walmart, buy in a box off the shelf. I've done a few mods to it though. If you look on the box when you buy it, it says, if I remember right, that these only go up to 21 miles per hour. But this one in particular, which I've spent virtually no money on modding, can now go right about 35, between 33 and 35 depending on the weather. But 35 is the absolute fastest I've been able to get it to go. Now, like I said, all of these mods, they don't really require any sort of, external accessories. It's mostly just modding what's already here. So if we come down here to the engine, first off, the main thing that I did with this bike, or I can't say the main thing, but an important thing I did with this bike is only running it on 91 or higher octane fuel. It says here on the sticker that it needs a minimum of 87, but I have noticed it does go considerably quicker if you use that higher octane fuel. Now, coming down here, this didn't make any sort of difference in the actual running of the bike or anything, but I did replace this fuel line. The one that came with it was pretty leaky. I was going to install a fuel filter, but I mean, given the fact that this is just kind of a cheap Walmart bike and these engines are, probably not going to last long enough for, a filter to really help them out anyway, I just kind of bypassed that and put a new line here. Just didn't want you to think I was doing any sketchy stuff by seeing a different line here. That's all it was. The original was leaky. So to start off, the first and most important quote-unquote mod you can do to this bike is right down here on the throttle cable and throttle linkage and all that. So let me try to pull the throttle here. When you pull the throttle, this lever moves down. And if you look right about here, if you can see that, this little lever handle here moves in to touch this lever here. Now, when you buy this bike from Walmart, straight off the shelf, open the box and there it is. There's going to be a screw right here. Take that screw out. That's the easiest way to say it. That screw is what limits the speed of this bike severely. Basically, all it does is the screw pokes through that little plate there, and it keeps this plate here from, grab the throttle again, from completely going all the way down. So basically, if that screw is screwed all the way in, your throttle is only going to move maybe about that much or so. But once you take that out, you can get full wide open throttle, and this bike can go just about full speed. But to get it to really go its genuine full speed, you need to take this lever here into account. This lever here controls the governor gear that's inside of the engine, and what that does is it limits your RPMs from getting to their absolute highest. Now, you can open this engine up and take the governor out, but there is a much easier way to do that without opening the engine or really doing a whole lot of anything. If you see this green cable here, what this is a piece of, like Christmas tree ornaments, how they come with those extra hangers. This is a piece of a Christmas tree ornament hanger. You can also use a paper clip if you really got a little crafty. I'm sure you could use a zip tie or, a bread tie, really anything. But what you need to do is take this little lever here, the same one that was going to hit this screw earlier. This same lever, you need to take you a strip of metal of some sort, and you're going to tie this lever to the governor. And what that's going to do is, if you watch here, as soon as I pull the throttle, that governor, it doesn't move much. It just kind of moves just a little bit. Let me see if I can reach over here and show you. It's not going to move a whole lot. This is as far as it goes. But you can tell as soon as I start pulling on the throttle, that governor gets deactivated. So as soon as you grab that throttle, this governor is going to click and turn off, and you can go full RPM with this bike. Otherwise, and when you pull the throttle, that governor without that little green strip of metal is going to push back that way, and it's going to limit your RPMs, and the bike can't really reach its full potential. So all you're trying to do is tie this governor completely open, and the easiest way to do that without any sort of modifications is to just tie it off to this throttle linkage here, so that when you grab the throttle, you can go full RPM and not have to worry about it. Those are the two main mods that'll get this bike going at least over 30. But I did do one other thing, and that's up here on the Airbox. Now, from the factory, this Airbox, let me see if I can take it off here. This Airbox is severely restricted. It only has openings on the bottom here. See if I can get you a good view of that in there. There you can kind of see it. Kind of that grill texture on the bottom there. those are the openings to this airbox. And from the factory, that's all the air that gets let in. And it all sucks up from the bottom where you've got all that engine heat and stuff just cooking in there. And if you look here, I can kind of get you a better angle on that. This is hard plastic up under here. Let me just take the air filter out so you can see that a little better. All of that is just hard plastic under there. So really the only air that you're getting is what's kind of leaking past, you know, kind of around this plastic here and around your lid here. You're just getting kind of a leak through of air, and it is severely restricting to the engine. So what I did here, you can kind of see it in here. This is your carburetor right here. When you buy this from the factory, there's going to be kind of a plastic plate that covers up your carburetor, kind of like that. What I did is I just cut that plate off so that you can get full airflow through there. And then in addition to that, I cut a pretty large hole in the back of the airbox here. I did this with one of those kind of circle drill bit things, and it looks, you know, pretty well stock on here. It doesn't look, you know, too out of the ordinary, but that lets major amounts of air through for such a small engine. Now, the downside to this is that this engine now runs a little bit lean. Like I said, it's going to cap out at about 35 miles per hour, but as soon as you let off the throttle, it kind of starts making that kind of popping noise like it's running lean. Now, you can fix that by taking the carburetor off and either installing bigger jets or drilling out the jets you have to be a little bit bigger. But I have no need for this bike to go over about 35. It's honestly a little too fast as it is. But if you did want to fix that lean condition and potentially pull out, you know, even a little more power out of this bike, you could go in and just drill out those carburetor jets to make this engine run just a little bit richer. But that's pretty much it. The only other modification I really did is over on the other side over here. Obviously I took off these plastic plates. When you buy this from the factory, there's those plastic plates covering everything. The only thing I did over here really was replace the chain tensioner. There, you can see it right there. The stock one was really noisy. It was kind of a hard plasticky rubber material. I replaced it with a nylon one. You can get these on those cheap, you know, 49 or 50cc bike kits that you see on eBay all the time. It's like a $5 nylon roller. It doesn't necessarily affect the performance of the bike, but it makes it run a lot quieter, and it doesn't make that nasty, you know, kind of chain clanking sound. And in addition to that, only other thing I've done to this bike is oil the clutch here. All you need to do is take you some sort of spray oil. A lot of people say you can use spray-on lithium grease. You can use WD-40, but you just have to reapply it pretty frequently. What I did is just kind of tip the bike over on its side and fill this clutch with 10W30 oil. It's going to drip out, it's going to get everywhere, but it really quiets down the engine, and it seems to help acceleration at least a little bit. It's not essential. Most of the mods that are really essential to get this bike going quick are all the mods we just covered a minute ago, but I just wanted to mention that just in case it may have, you know, a minuscule effect on performance. But basically, that's what I've done to this bike. It is essentially still a stock bike. It has been modified, but I haven't put, you know, any money into it at all. This is all just stuff that I've modified with stuff you can find laying around your house, aside from the, you know, the tensioner down there. But yeah, this is all you got to do to get your bike going full speed. Takes less than an hour to do pretty much everything I discussed here. But yeah, just wanted to share that with you in case any of you guys were wondering how to make these bikes go a little bit quicker. That's how I did mine. So hopefully that helps you out.